96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
The aftermath of every social revolution brings about change. Cultural norms and landmarks shift as our minds and hearts expand beyond the familiar. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose in the land of the living. This is our time to renew, revive, and restore the hope lost to the busyness of life. This is our time to dig again and rebuild from the storms of our past on a solid footing that holds. Welcome to The Foundation.
The Foundation. Foundation.
The Foundation of Hard Grant is brought to you by Alive, AML Foods Limited, APNL Holdings Limited, Burger King, Commonwealth Bank, the Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Digital Transformation Unit, Freeport News, the Ministry of Agriculture, Marine Resources, Popeyes, Ron's Electric Motors, and Scotiabank.
It's the foundation that's rocking the nation. Howard Grant's the host, Guardian radio station 96.9, 12 to 2 is the time. You can call the show or use the text line. Yeah, he educates, he informs. He goes against the norm. He's really got that zeal. Plus, he's a child of God.
Foundation. It's the foundation. Foundation. It's the foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company, live and in full effect. The Foundation on this absolutely gorgeous Thursday. Is it getting better? Talk to me. Someone talk to me. I feel like it's getting better. We haven't seen that torrential, what was the word? Torrential rain. It's too much. It's wild out here. Very grateful for that. The other night I had is it just me? Does it happen to me? Because I always feel like I got a story to tell you, right? I feel like I have a story to tell you. I was up and down the other evening, being able to pick up a few things, touching some people, and really late when it started to rain. I can't remember, was this Friday or Saturday, one or the other. And going up the hill, because I'm headed south now. So we're headed up the hill past Fusion and Lakeview. And for some reason, I don't know, I'm just driving. Boof! My tire blows. My tire blows in the road. Talk to me. And it was a wild thing, right? So I'm just grateful for that. I had to kind of hop over to my guys to be able to change that for me. But it's a wild thing. I mean, you just want to be able to be extremely careful during this time, all right? And for all you guys out there who need to be able to change your tires, shameless plug, go down there to Unique Motors. They are on Soldier Road, right there across from the Old Trail Liquor Store. They're my guys. They're Antonio guys, technically. Antonio, who's always here with us, Bullet. But they are my guys, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to kind of do that. It's Wednesday, guys. I am happy to be in your company. Did I say it was a Thursday? Did I say? I can't remember, because I'm thinking Thursday. I'm looking at the paper right now. Guys, make sure you pick up your Guardian newspaper. Mother Pratt named new GG. Guardian newspaper, Wednesday, August 16th. If you're celebrating a birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Put your name there. Happy birthday to you. Have a beautiful day. Enjoy your birthday. Obviously, this is also Mother Pratt's birthday. Maybe we crack open some Mother Pratt, right? You see what I did there? Enjoy that. Listen, man, Mother Pratt, congratulations to you. Congratulations on your appointment. As we deduced and identify those particular persons, I think that you are the superb choice for this PLP administration being able to move forward. We know that you're going to do a great deal of things, great things, and we know that you're always going to be able to stand in that sort of a posture for growth and development. So we are grateful to you for that, grateful for the opportunity to be able to see another beautiful woman with great history in the country step into this position and role, and we expect great things from you. I'm sure, for the amount of people that call this show, Mother Pratt, I am sure that you're going to have a tremendous amount of support within your community, the community that everyone knows that you have not left, and the heart that you have for that community. So All the best to you on this ascent to the highest office in the land, and we just pray that the Father continues to bless you and yours as you move forward in these areas. Ladies and gentlemen, you know this is a Wednesday, it's a panel discussion Wednesday, and I'm so grateful to be here in the studio with none other than Kendra Bowe. She's here and she's chopping down some stuff with us, and she's always going to be able to talk some stuff. Now, I know you guys are waiting to be able to hear Garth. He's a few steps away, so he's going to be able to join us in a few seconds, but I wanted to be able to have her introduce herself or reintroduce, because she's not unfamiliar. She's a familiar. She's a friend of the show, and she's been here with us before. Can you say good afternoon to the Bahamian people?
Good afternoon, Bahamas. It's great to be here. Thank you, Howard, again for the opportunity to be on the show today. And so I'm an educator. I'm an educator / counselor by profession, working primarily with the at-risk youth population. And so I've been doing that for over 15 plus years, and also do some extensive work down at the Bahamas Department of Corrections as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, you came to mind several times as, I don't know if you've been listening to the show over the past few days or whatnot, from last week, Friday. We have, in my view, done something that's miraculous. And I say we, I have to say we. I don't mean we, the foundation. I mean we, the community, have reached out to a beautiful soul that's broken, that's hurting. And this is the mother of the 9-year-old who was raped. And there's no two ways to say that. A lot of persons want to be able to have this kind of a conversation about whether or not we should say sexually assaulted and, you know, whatever. She was raped. She was ravaged, and her innocence was stripped away from her by a monster. Let's just be very clear about this. So I want to talk to you about that. I know that, you popped in mind to talk about these things. I know that you have many instances and stories that you can tell us from those persons, men in the Department of Corrections, who may be reformed or just desire to be able to speak about it. Talk to me about it.
Well, I guess what I would say as it relates to this, and I want to give my congratulations to Mother Pratt as well. I've done some work with Mother Pratt as well. And I think one of the stories for me, I remember going in the Grove area, and there was a little girl who walked up to her home, and Mother Pratt went to her house and got a loaf of bread and handed it to the little girl. And so when you talk about in terms of impact, and when you talked about in terms of still doing work in the community, that is her heart. That is her heart in terms of reaching out and helping those in need. Yeah. And so, yes, I want to congratulate her on her appointment as well. But yes, I've been, just really over the past, this year, in fact, you would see that there was quite a few mentions, unfortunately, when it comes to sexual violence in the country. Of course, the 9-year-old and
Royal Bahamas Police Force indicated that there is an increase.
In rapes, yes.
In rapes.
Yeah, in the country. So there is an increase in sexual violence. In fact, I read one article where the Minister Monroe, had mentioned that overall crimes were down, but sexual violence was actually up.
Which is wild.
Right. And so we do have a spike in this area. And I think there are just a few things that come to mind that I'll share as we continue to discuss in terms of along the way. But I think that sometimes we don't realize that these incidents are not as, I want to use the right word. It's like it's not as a happenstance, almost, as it were. Like it's just, someone just poof and they came and they just decide to do this. But these things are like, it's a culmination. It's like years in the making in terms of a broken individual, a hurt or abused individual, and then it has.
So this is like to make a predator?
In essence, it is, because I can tell you in terms of from working with challenged young people, and I can tell you that I have had instances where, as I sat and I listened to their stories and what they went through, And we've spoke about this before on the show, Howard, in terms of how counseling is still a little bit taboo in our country. And so people don't look at it in a way to say, I need to get help. I need to talk about some of the issues that I've experienced and that I'm going through.
Traditionally, mommy them or grandmother, let's not say mommy. Mommy is a little bit different. She's from a different era and generation. But Grammy them would try to encourage you to do something that I don't understand how to do. They'll say to you, oh, baby, you just got to let it go.
Yes.
And that's difficult.
Yes. And it is. And I can tell you just from countless stories, when you eventually get a young person to confide in you, what I found interesting is the same young men and women who are suspended from school. If you do work in Willie Mae Pratt or Simpson Penn, you find those same young persons, they end up there as well. And then if you go into the prison, you find those same young people, they eventually ended up in the prison as well.
That's crazy.
Right? And so the thing is, that's why I'm saying it's not something that people think it's just a happenstance and someone just woke up one morning and decided to be a monster or decided to harm someone, but it's literally like years in the making. So it's,
we had this conversation in the barbershop the other day. I don't know, I guess I provoke these things. Because I don't want to talk foolishness, not all day, for God's sake. It's exhausting. So we're in the barbershop, and there is something sparked in two of the guys that says, I refuse to believe that people are a product of their environment. And I said, that's crazy. I think every one of us are products of our environment. And he says that, I don't agree with that. My father used to sell drugs, and everybody used to sell drugs. And I decided that I don't want to sell drugs. I said, so you were a product of the environment. You have to choose either positive or negative.
Yes.
But you're exposed to this, and you have to determine, because you could have twins, and one decide that they're going to take one particular course, and the other decides that from the same environment.
Same environment.
Both of them are products of their environment.
Yes.
Talk to me about it.
Yeah, and so, and what I would find in terms of some instances, Howard, is that there was one young man, his mother ended up sick. She had contracted a disease. He had to miss a whole lot of time in school, and because he had to care for his mother. She was sick, she was dying, and he was the oldest child. He had to care for her, and then there were younger siblings, and he had to look out and care for them as well. And later on, his mother she passed, she died. But later on, that same young man ended up in Simpson Penn for some harm that he committed against one of his younger siblings. And so what I'm saying is sometimes people think like it's so far removed. When you hear of it, there's shockwaves. But it's years in the making. It's the trauma, it's the issues, it's the environment, it's the different things that people go through.
Mother's sick.
And if there is no intervention,
this is a wild story. You just tell me, my eyes are popping open.
Yeah, if there's no,
I just feel like as a nation, as a country, and this might be naivete to the 10th power, right? This is just sheer. You got to be like isolated to think like this. But I think that we as a nation, the small nation that we are not necessarily exposed to these stories that we hear externally. But when you hear these stories that's going on right here, it blows your mind.
Right here. And
because we're quick to say things like, oh, no. Bahamian don't do that.
Yeah. But it's I think we underestimate sometimes the pressure we put on young people and their ability. We know young people can be resilient and we expect them to bounce back. But again, some of the hardships that people go through, especially when we look at even the violence in terms of the killings and stuff like that. But I've dealt with students who've seen their loved ones, their brothers, their fathers die in their presence. No counseling, no therapy. They learn to cope with it the best way they know how. And then they
drinking, smoking, drugs,
and then they
sex,
choose
depression,
a path for themselves as well. And so I think that we have to really take a stronger look at single parentage in this country in terms of single mothers doing it on their own and the risk factors that brings. We have to take, we hear it, people think it's cliche, but when we look at our social ills, we have to look at fatherhood in a deeper way, in men understanding what does it mean to be a father. If you're not ready for that responsibility, then you take some measures to ensure that you don't impregnate a young woman. If you're not ready for that, we have to look at those things more seriously, because the end result and what we see later down the line is because of that balance that was not there from young, because of the traumas that were faced from young, because of the rejection that was faced from young. And these are just the harvest coming
I
from
feel
it.
like it's easy to say, to have this kind of a conversation, and I definitely want to be able to introduce my guy sitting here with me to talk about this. Let's see if we can dive a little taste deeper into it, right? But I feel like we could talk like this because it is, Grammy say, mouth could say anything. It is an easy thing to have a conversation about what we need to do as it relates to being able to assist from a governmental standpoint. A couple of people called me yesterday asking me how, Howard, if we get a house for this woman, because essentially she wants to move away from Lazaretto Road. She doesn't want her baby to go back to Lazaretto Road. PTSD is a serious thing. Mm-hmm. We understand these particular things. We talked about the fact that a baby girl, 9 years old, she cannot sleep for the past 2 weeks. She's been pulling the IVs out. She's going on a steady regimen of antibiotics, so forth and so on. So the mother and I had a healthy conversation yesterday. I went to present her some things. And sitting with her, she says, I want to do this, I want to do this. And my mind automatically floats back to this point. People are asking, how can we help her to get to a new place? Can she afford it? And she says to me, she's going to social services. Social services will be able to assist her, and they're going to assist her in certain areas. Okay, this is great. Now we know that we have governmental assistance in these particular areas. That is a remedy for something that's broken. But the question that we need to ask is, how do we avoid this thing being broken in the first place? Do we go back to what Richard Lightbourne said some time ago? You remember what Richard Lightbourne said?
No, refresh my memory.
You refresh my memory?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Should I say that on the radio? Start to talk about how some people shouldn't even have children? How we should, you know what I mean? Like we talked about this, I just want to be decent as possible. While it sounded barbaric, while it sounded insensitive, while it had peppered with indecency, the truth is you have to ask these questions. Because we are, as a community, responsible for an act of pleasure that many persons have made. We're responsible for now helping to mature, to develop, to take care of a child that you laid down for, either in pursuit of pleasure or in pursuit of some sort of security for yourself. Talk to me. I want to talk about this. Let me see if I can introduce my guy. Garth Roseborough, say good afternoon to the Bahamian people.
Good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for the delay. Got caught up on the traffic jam on Farrington Road and had to go through Chippenham to get here. But it's always a pleasure to be here with you, the lovely people. This is Madam Kim I'm looking at. Kendra Bow.
Yes.
And I know your face and your person supposedly very well.
Okay.
But it's great to see you. It's also great to be here. I want to thank the Guardian staff and Mr. Howard Grant for having me here. And you, the Bahamian people, let's continue to fight for what we know to be right and what we know to be a progressive and upright nation.
Guys, we started to put some things on the table. Now, if you were listening in, the conversation is about a level of brokenness that exists in our community.
Beautiful.
And we can always have time. I feel like over the next 60-some days, we can have a great deal of time to dive into politics. Talk to me.
Of course.
With the proroguing of the House.
Of course.
I do believe that we need to suspend and prorogue the injustice that exists. You see how I put this together? The injustice that exists socially. Talk to me. Yes. Who suspends that? Why is there perpetual desire for this insatiable wickedness that happens? Yesterday, I got a call that indicated an 8-year-old, allegedly, possibly, has been abducted. I got a call. Did you get that call? Did you hear that?
No? I didn't hear that one.
Absolutely bananas. This needs to stop happening. And so, to Kendra's point, to talk about the gradual approach and the exposure to whether it be violence, whether it be this level of debauchery in the community that causes your mind to develop and evolve into sheer wickedness, that places you in the position to move from your community, the Simpson pen, to the correctional facility. Why does this happen? And so one of the questions that I want to ask is, how do we avoid it? How do we avoid this? How do we fix it from the inception? I want to know that, because it's easy to be able to throw money at a thing and to be able to ensure that you could put a fence around it to keep it in, to contain it. But how do you avoid it from that initial spark? Talk to me about it.
Well, the sad truth is, the one question that just comes to my mind immediately is, do you really truly want to fix it? Now, from a societal point, from a community standpoint, from a family standpoint, definitely we want answers, we want solutions, we want preventative measures to be put in place. Those people who are responsible for legislation and passing of bills and ensuring that this, our beloved country, is the greatest country on earth, for whatever reason that they may have, seemingly it is not their priority. We know that situations like this, in its worst form, is nothing short of a business. Crime is a business. Sad to say, we spend millions of dollars every year on just the judicial arm of our country. We have so many Supreme Court judges and magistrates and prosecutors and defenders. You have your police force, your defense force, business. Countries run on a business model, capitalism at its best. And so what I would say is that the community, Howard, the family, has to now take the initiative to step up their game. You cannot depend on government to protect you in every case. They cannot. It will be impossible for them to ever do so. We heard of drones that they have, increase in patrols from the police personnel, but it goes right back to everyone watching their neighbor, everyone caring for their neighbor, being your neighbor's keeper. Parents, you have children. Some parents are so mean. They don't have any real friends. You remember back in the day, I don't know if you had the situation, but your mom could leave you with a good friend. Huh?
I have way too much family for that.
You know,
my mom used to leave me in the yard. The yard almost 6 miles long. We in the bush all day.
Any friends and cousins
That's
and
it.
everybody.
You got cousins.
Yeah, you roll in the old tire rim, whatever. That doesn't exist anymore. As a matter of fact, some people don't even want your bad children in their yard. Know how? You see what I'm saying? There's a breakdown in the community. There's a dysfunction in the family. Maybe it has something to do with even church attendance. How many of these people actually attend church? Because at one time, you could just send your child to Sunday school or send your child to the church, and the church watching children for you. This ain't happening, boss. This is not happening. Yeah. We have a breakdown in the fabric of security in this country. It's a national crisis.
We got to talk like this. Kendra, I want to talk to you about this because I need to know about the inception. I think if we could find out the inflection point, if we could find out where this sort of an idea is sparked from, right? Then possibly we could be able to modify at least the environment. To be able to see some things happen like that. Guys, I want you to be a part of the conversation today. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere from the family violence, 242-300-5720. That's a toll-free call. Or you can hit me up, 422-4796. We are here live and in full effect. It is a panel discussion Wednesday. We're having good conversation with Kendra Bowe and Garth Roseborough. I want you to be a part of it. Quick commercial break. Be right back after this.
Foundation.
education. Elevate your learning journey with the technology you need to succeed. Discover exclusive deals on our postpaid plans, featuring devices, tablets, accessories, and more. With Alive as your partner, experience seamless connectivity, creation, and collaboration. Anywhere, anytime. Visit your nearest Alive store today and champion a brighter, smarter future. Alive. Believe in Bahamians. Believe in best.
Let me ask you a few questions. What's your name?
Pam.
Favorite food?
Steak.
Beer or wine?
Wine.
Is your money safe?
It's under my bed, so I guess so.
Are you serious?
Yeah, why?
Unless your money is in a bank or credit union that's a member of the Deposit Insurance Corporation, there's no guarantee it's safe.
Yeah, but what if something happens to the bank?
Your Bahamian dollar deposits are insured up to $50,000, so you'd still be ahead. Plus, your mattress might catch fire. Then what?
Man, those banks and credit unions are looking good right about now.
Visit the DIC's website at www.dic.bs. Protection for your money, guaranteed with DIC.
At Ron's Electric Motors, they repair and rewind all major brands of electric motors, including water pumps, generators, and the generator's back end, welding machines, electric lifts, air compressors, battery chargers, and more. They're equipped to handle up to 850 kilowatts and rewind up to 450 horsepower motors. They're conveniently located on the corner of Wolf and Clarence Roads and are open weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays till noon. They offer 24 hours emergency assistance. You can reach them at 242-356-0249.
At Popeyes, get the chicken sandwich you love, but make it blackened. Marinated in Popeyes blackened seasoning, that is. Our new juicy filet is fried to perfection without the breading, served on a toasted brioche bun. Try it today as a combo or a la carte. Don't forget to choose your level of spice today at any one of our 3 locations.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
It's Whopper Wednesday every Wednesday at Burger King Nassau. Make your Wednesday sizzle and sink your teeth into a flame-grilled beef patty topped with tomatoes, fresh-cut lettuce, mayo, pickles, ketchup, and sliced onions, all on a toasted sesame seed bun with fries for only $5.95, including VAT. This Whopper Wednesday, grab a friend and head down to your favorite BK Nassau location for a flame-grilled Whopper made your way with crisp fries for only $5.95. Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Guardian Radio and the Foundation are on the move.
Bahamas, this one's for you.
SBT, Small Business Thursdays. Every Thursday, the Foundation with Howard Grant will highlight small businesses throughout the country, far and wide. Your products, services, prices, and personality. We want to hear it all. Get your 30 or 60-second advertisement heard on air at a fraction of the cost. We here at the Foundation understand the times and don't want you to be left behind. With Guardian Radio, you reach your specific demographic and it is unmatched.
We reach thousands daily.
Get your products off the shelf and your services in their hearts. Small Business Thursdays with the Foundation, only on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. For more information, call 302-2300 or the Help Me Howard line at 827-0111. SBT. Small Business Thursdays. Get your business moving today.
Okay, school bag, books, pencils, uniform. Oh, Lord. And I gotta buy snacks, too?
Just lay it on the line.
The Guardian Media Group and AML Foods want to help families in need with our first ever Back to School Snackathon. What's a snackathon? Well, we want to help by assisting in donating school snacks to children that may need them as they head back to school this year. To be a part of our snackathon, all you have to do is shop at your favorite Solomon Superstore or Fresh Market. At the store, you can donate your pre-existing loyalty points or you can donate cash directly at the register. Every single penny will go towards purchasing snacks that will be donated for distribution by the Bahamas Feeding Network and Hands for Hunger. Together, we can ensure that every child that opens their backpack this year will have a snack and a smile.
Get involved, get involved. Get involved, get involved. Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. Foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation, on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. It is a hump day. I'm so happy to be in your company today. I want you guys to give me a call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the family of islands, 242-300-5720, or you can definitely hit me up on the text, 422-4796. We're in studio with none other than Kendra Bro, being able to give us an analytical, first-person perspective, you know, as a counselor and someone who's in the prison and who's been working in these crisis situations for a very long time. And none other than my good friend Garth Roseborough sitting in the studio with us, just to be able to get a well-rounded perspective and approach in terms of being able to put this on the table for you. I want you guys to participate. And we're really talking about the inception. Over the past few days, we have done a great deal, and I feel like so much information, more and more information is coming at me as it relates to brokenness that exists in our society.
Yes.
Talk to me, Kendra. So a lot of people have give me a little $20 here, $50 here, little $100 here, whatever the case may be, whatever they had, they gave for me to be able to give to the mother of this young girl who's now going through the time of her life, and not in a good way.
Yes, you know, Howard, when you say that word brokenness in our society, there is a large degree of brokenness in our society, and in working in this field and working with people and hearing their stories, even when it comes to men who are broken because they've been violated by women and men. You know, I remember working with a man in B-Docks, and his story was that his aunt molested him. You know, this man later went on. He has been charged and convicted of rape himself later on in his life. But
isn't that the story?
So
isn't that the story isn't that like a wicked cycle?
Yep, a wicked cycle. And that's why I'm saying that these things, we think it's just, happenstance and someone is sitting there, but it's these things are years in the making, and it's us being able to put a stop and a halt to these things from preventing them in terms of from maturing into what we're seeing today. So the violence is not just happening because, these are just boys who just running rampant in the street, but it started. I from working with young people, one of the things I've watched is when the lights go out in their eyes. Like you can tell if you started to get them young enough when they first started.
For people who don't understand what this is, this light's going out in your eyes. That's hope.
Yes.
The idea of hope.
And
that there's no hope for me anymore. This is dark.
And when they've also crossed over as well now, because what it is that after they've started to rebel, they've had, a few little incidents at school, and they come to you and you can see that innocence that's still there initially. But once that continues and it continues, their hope is gone because they don't feel like for whatever the situations are at home, nothing's getting better. They have to fend for themselves. They have to deal with situations as they are. They have to find a way for themselves. The family is broken. The community structure isn't there lending the help as it needs to. And then they're turning to this world of gangs, or they're turning to figure things out for themselves. But you can tell when the lights go out. And I've seen it in young men as women, but more so in the young men. And you can tell when it's like, okay, this one, like he's gone now, because when you see
can't
when
say
it's
nothing
gone.
to him.
Yeah, you can.
It's nothing you could say at that point for redemption and revival.
And that's when it takes a move.
You know why?
Yeah, coming in.
I had a friend. I told you guys about this, and I always try to be discreet on these people radio because y'all like to try to put maths together. Who are we talking about? I had a friend that says to me, during his last years on Earth, he contracted HIV and died. But during his last years on Earth, he wanted to pursue some stuff. I thought it was weird how this guy keeps saying to me, Howard, when they call my name, you know, that's how he speaks. Howard, when they call my name, they'll always say that I've done this and I've done that. They will never say this about me. I'm like, why you keep talking about yourself like that? Are we not here right now? We're young. What you talking about, right? I didn't know what his position was.
Right.
I knew that he lived an alternative lifestyle, contrary to the traditions that exist in our society for all those people who try to figure out why Howard didn't just say the fellow was gay. This me just being decent. That's how I want to talk. Okay. So he was still my friend. He was still my friend. I know these people and I love these people. He's my friend. And I believe that he's a genius. And I've told him that. Right? And so he told me a story. And I'm one of these people that you feel like you could talk to. I said, just sit there and I just listen. Right? From when I was a child. So he told me a story. He says, Howard, such and such a person raped me when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
He said every time he would rape me, I would scream and cry and holler and nobody would come. I would pray and holler and nobody would come until I found pleasure that I was providing him with a release. This is what he tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, this is bananas. Listen to me.
Yes.
This is bananas.
Mm-hmm.
And the hope goes in people's eye when there's no rescue.
Yes.
When there is no avenue to be able to get out of there.
Yes.
When there's no hope. When there's no hand. And the hope goes from people's eye when you present this to your pastor, your priest, your community leader, and they proceed to do the exact same thing to you.
Yes. And
These
it happens.
monsters.
Yes. And it happens. And it happens. And so this is where I feel as a society as a whole, I just feel like we see the stories and everybody is, in shock. But it's like, are we all individually, if you take your own introspective look, you are a part of a community. Do you feel that you are doing your part as a part of a community in ensuring the safety of those who are in your community or in your family? Are you helping where you can? Are you providing a listening ear? Like whichever aspect that you are called to, are you fulfilling that? Because I think it's only when we begin to do that, then people know. For someone who may feel suicidal sometimes, all it takes is for someone sometimes to help lift a little burden off someone's shoulders sometimes, or to provide a listening ear. And so sometimes if we do not carry out that function that we have within a society, it leaves no hope for someone else because you may have been that solution for that person.
And people don't understand that,
Yeah, and that's why there's something I read the other day that was so beautiful, and it says, in nature, nothing exists for itself, right? And it talked about the fruit from the tree doesn't eat its own fruit. And the ocean doesn't drink its own water, and so nature, nothing exists for itself. And so the same way with nature, that is how we're supposed to be, that we don't exist for ourselves. And so you would hear something where you're supposed to serve your gift. So whatever God has given you and placed in you, you're supposed to find a way to serve that to humanity so that they can benefit from that. That's what community is about. You don't just think about your four and no more, but you think in terms of the community as a whole. And I think that's a part of what we've lost. I know growing up, when we did something wrong, like people in the community could discipline you, right? Because you were a part of that community. Me and my sister still mad with one man to this day because
you gotta let this go.
Because when my mother was calling us and we know we was gonna get cut him, and she said, "Hold him for me." And he caught us. And to this day, we still mad with that man for holding us.
You think I could get 30 years ago, you hold me down so mommy can beat me.
So we can beat. But the thing is, you knew that you were part of this community.
But now this community, the community that we speak of, doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
It lives in fables and stories about family islands.
Yes.
I got a text most recently after we introduced the story on Friday about the young lady, the mother who has the baby who's been raped. I got a text from prominent people in the country, and I just want to be very decent about it, right? Got a text, and they say, Howard, ask me some questions about it. I said, well, I don't know. I didn't ask her. Her tears wouldn't allow me to go beyond.
Yes.
Right? So they say, Howard, I think she's going to have to move to a family island. You know what the translation for that means? Howard, I think she's going to have to go where there's real community now. That's what I read. I'm reading what she texted. This particular person texted me. So Howard, I think that she's going to have to move to a family island for a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it, and it translated to me, Howard, she's going to have to go where real community exists. Because there's only stories about community now, and they start to talk to you about, man, we have such a beautiful community. All you can come down to Andros and engage and experience real community, right?
Yeah.
Come to Pineapple Fest just for time being and experience real community. You understand what I'm saying? Come to Exuma, swim with the pigs, experience real community. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Go to Regatta, experience real community. Come to Nassau and stay in the house, for Jesus' sake. This is the concept that exists.
Yes.
And it seems to be rich and real into the minds of people. Because when they want a true experience, when they want to leave their door open, my wife always around me. Why you leave the door open? You think it's 8 Mile okay? 8 Mile people don't lock the door.
Mm-hmm.
You can walk right in their house right now. The people ask me, y'all used to have fence. What fence? You know not to go in the people's yard. You know that. And some yards got a whole track road running, walking through it. You pass it at people's window and you say, hey, good morning. This is the community that exists.
Yes.
But that doesn't exist in Nassau,
But
for the most
thing is,
part.
we can recreate it. And that's where if there are people who are committed to this ideal of community.
How are we going to recreate it when mothers who don't mother their children ready to fight you for disciplining their child who come out of a community where you cussing the woman out?
No, so
she don't stand for the
I
cussing.
can tell you, and I want to give a shout out right now to Mr. Winston Penn, and I've worked with Winston Penn. He is the grandson of the late Simpson Penn, and he would go in communities and discipline children in front of their parents without a issue. They would call him, in fact, sometimes when a child was misbehaving. And what I find the difference is that when people feel like you are a part of the family, you are not trying to harm their child, but there is a sincere love, and it's proven through the other actions that you do. So yes, there is that sense of, okay, yes, someone could come and cuss around you. I've experienced that, overseeing a center and having students who were suspended and students coming in and parents ready to curse and row you out and say whatever. And when they find that you're not judging them, you're not looking down on them, these same parents begin to open up and confide about their personal lives. They begin to cry and break down. They begin to ask for help because they realize that you are not perceivably against them and you're not judging them.
Yeah.
So the difference is not that people necessarily are all against you if their child is doing wrong. It is the approach and it is the way someone is made to feel.
But for the most part, what we see in this community, when you carry them over to College Reed, when you go to shock treatment, when you go to the dean for discipline, when you stand there and you see mothers holding the child and say, Mister, I want you to take care of this child for me because he ain't listening to me no more. They've already gone beyond this particular point, and that light that we speak of is flickering into darkness.
In some instances, yes, and then I would say in some instances, no. I think for me, where I just have a concern with the whole shock treatment concept is that if you have not reached a place with a young person where they could confide in you with what the issues really are, you could be doing more damage than good.
I like what
when
you
you
said.
take that particular approach.
But that's the same principle applies to the correctional facility. Watch me.
Yes.
Talk to me.
So this is a
Because
formula we use that
there
works.
is no rehabilitation.
If there is no rehabilitation.
What are we doing this for?
Exactly.
That's abuse.
And see, the first thing that works is that when you have to do an intake process, is that people have to feel like you are not judging them, regardless of what they've done, whatever the crime against them are. People have to feel that there is a safe zone, and once they feel that there is a safe zone, they will begin to confide, and you can get an inroad.
Guys, the lines are wide open. Let me take this telephone call. Caller on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Howard.
Hey, good morning, my dear.
Listen, I was about to ask about the shock treatment thing when she started. My question is, have they ever done a survey to see how much young men that shock treatment helped versus how much it did not help? Because I feel like the numbers are different. I feel like you may help one when you didn't help 10. Because to me, it's a bit harsh You understand? And you have a lot of parents that I have seen allow these children to get to the point where I guess they would be caught up in shock treatment. When you have a 2-year-old that hits back when you spank him, you understand me? That's where I think parenting starts, when they start to hit back, and when you ask them to share something and they refuse to share, that's being disobedient. And small things. So these small things in the end adds up to the type of country that we have today.
I agree with you. I thank you so much for your telephone call, my dear. I agree with what she said. I think this parenting, this concept of prenatal care and parenting, there should be counseling associated with how to be able to, and it should not be a fear of being able to introduce the traditions that we have and the values that we have as a society, as a whole, right? I think we've become so progressive, and I need to talk like this, right? I think we've become so progressive in our desires to be able to mimic and look and mirror what we're seeing happen externally. And when I mean externally, I don't mean the Western world, because every one of the countries stand in their convictions. The only thing that we talk about is this idea of democracy that's emulating, almost like the Ouroboros, right? From America, United States of America, North America, right? And so we try to mimic that because it shimmers bright. But the truth is that it doesn't have that anchor, that value that we can be able to hold on for 25 years, 30 years from now.
And what I would like to add to what the caller said, Howard, is that sometimes single mothers are so burdened because the responsibilities that are on their shoulders, the amount of children that they may have, the fathers who are not contributing to the lives of those children, just to be able to work and to be able to provide sometimes just the bare minimum, it's requiring all that they have. And so those children sometimes are raising themselves, or one who is a little older may be participating in helping to rear them. And so certain things are sort of left unchecked.
Raising children.
Right, are left unchecked. And even when they may try to intervene and to say, oh, behave or don't do this or don't do that, these children have already sort of developed such a strength
and appetite,
and because they're also getting influence in terms of from the environment and those around them. You know, they're being allowed to run, just roam a little bit more freer because the mother isn't there because she's trying to work in terms of, and that's why we have to go back to the family. We have to go back to the community and reinforcing those things.
So when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about this. I want to talk about this concept and idea of the inception of where it goes, because I might be weird, I may be mad conservative, I might be traditional in my thinking, but I believe that a lot of this can be curbed, and the appetite for us to be able to help can be curbed at the inception, at the point of understanding the value that you carry as a woman. And I have to say a woman. And you have to forgive me for that. I don't mean anything negative by it. I only mean a man's relentless desire for me to see the little soldier stand strong is to be able to pursue pleasure. That's it. And as a result of that, the only thing that can curb us as we desire a woman, as we desire this relationship, is standard. Say, hey, listen, you ain't getting with me unless you do boom, boom, boom. And I promise you from here to God, if the man wants you, he go and do boom, boom, boom to get to that pleasure. Guys, we're going to talk about this. Let me take this quick commercial break and be back. I want you guys to be a part of the conversation and how we curb and really right-size our society to move forward, upward, onward together in this year of our Jubilee. Howard Grant, The Foundation. We're going to take this commercial break, get to news, and be right back after this.
The Foundation. 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 The Foundation.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Shavara Roka Enias, Chickchani Farms.
I don't think I chose farming. I think farming chose me. Winning this award would definitely give us the funding that we need to start our farming season. Most persons who are in the agriculture field realize that at the start of the season, which is in the next couple of weeks, you do always need a bulk of cash. I think we have a great track record for the work that we've been doing in agriculture over the last 10 years. And so when I saw the opportunity for an award like this, I figured, you know what, I should just go ahead and enter.
The Agrarian Awards, September 16th.
We're good for you. Shopping is so rewarding with my Fidelity credit card. I get the best prices with price protection. Earn and redeem Freedom Points at my favorite stores. Get cash back. Plus, I booked a cruise. Get your Fidelity credit card today. Call 356-7764.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation, on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon, August 16, 2023. We're out here live and in full effect. We have to talk about some things. Last night I got a sad telephone call from my camera guy who was supposed to be traveling with me on Sunday. Says, Howard, unfortunately, some things came up. I cannot go. And also, some things happened in terms of being able to call. You know, we talked about going to Atlanta. So the Atlanta trip may be off. Maybe, and I'm not going to hurt myself trying to be able to do this. But nonetheless, we can talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. I'll tell you exactly where we are with that after I get some information today. Wanted to kind of introduce that to you with full transparency to let you know that we were definitely on course, but we're going to make modifications to find ourselves in better position to do what we have to do. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're just talking about some stuff that's happening socially, the increase of rape, the increase of sexual violence, the increase and the appetite, the insatiable appetite to be able to taste this. Because one time ago you would think about it, right? One time ago you think about it, but never necessarily act on it. But we're seeing these acts, these heinous, violent acts that, that knows no boundaries. Messing with a 9-year-old, being able to take her out and so forth and so on. As it relates to rape and her innocence, scraping up her face, messing up her neck, so forth and so on. We've seen that. These stories are floating around with another baby, based upon what I've read, 8 years old. And just talking about this appetite, now, how do we be able to stem the desire from the inception? In the studio with me today is none other than Kendra Bowe and Garth Roosbow. Kendra, I wanted to put this on you. When you left, we talked about this. I just want to talk like this. And ladies and gentlemen, the lines are open if you want to be a part of the conversation today. I want to talk like this. How do we curb that? Now, on the break just now, I was telling you about a movie that I watched. It was a parody, nonetheless. It was a parody. Nick Cannon was in the movie. The movie was called, I think it was called Chirac, right? I'm looking for it right now. Chirac. With, Chirac. It's a movie that came out in 2015. It's spelled CHI-RAQ, Chirac. And the entire movie is a concept of the increased violence that was happening in Chicago at the time, right? Because they call Chicago Chi-City, right? So, as a result of the increased violence, women decided to be able to congregate. How do we curb this? We're going to stop having sex with the men. This was the movie. Parody, great movie, but it made me think. They congregated evening after evening and even came close to flirting with their men and put them on edge, but never gave them their desires. Let's just be clear, because kids might be in the car, right? Mm-hmm. So they never gave them their desires. And as a result of not giving them their desires, they said, if you do this, this, and this, and we don't see this anymore, then we will give you as you desire. This was the movie now. And it put me in a position of realizing the power that a woman possesses. Talk to me. This is Jay-Z, sing a song about this, but we can talk about this. Right? The power that a woman possesses. It's hard for you to understand men, despite the fact that we're simple. The only thing that we want is this present that you hold. Amen? I mean, just want to be very clear. That's all we want. We only get a job so we could be able to take care of this particular present. That's it.
But I think that what it speaks to, I think, is the power of community in what they did, because they came together as a community of women based on the story you just gave, and they held true to a common goal of what they wanted.
That was the power of reformation. History shows you the strength of a black woman and the ability to change these things when they decide.
And so, again,
if standards are raised in our society, right now, watch me. If standards are raised in this, and you understand the value of the gift that you carry, talk to me.
So, but unfortunately, Howard, today
they don't know the value.
What you would have though is you may have one set who's saying they hold
$40 is not a value of the situation. Talk to me.
And someone else would be like, "Well, I want that $40, so I can cater."
Because no one and this is where we're going back now. This is why the show is called The Foundation.
So it's building on that, and I think that this is where again, and I know that there are many people, organizations out there that are doing great work and moving in all their various areas. But I think, again, that sense of unity, building one community at a time, one group of people at a time, I think if we could get back to that, we could get to what we need to do. You spoke about it during the break. When you talk about instead of one person trying to do it alone, but in terms of doing it together, because you can go farther when you
because you said something.
Ideal.
Tell people what you started to talk about, the investment. You said something.
Yeah, the investment. It takes a lot out of you. There's a lot of work when you're working in terms of trying to build community and dealing specifically with the youth population, and just trying to facilitate their needs, be a resource for them, help in terms of the challenges, and then you've got to help facilitate with the family and the issues that come in terms of the family aspect. So it requires a whole lot when you're talking about trying to help facilitate change and build that community. So it does require more people to come together in terms of to make it happen.
For what I was able to do from Friday to now, and actually tangibly give to the single mother with a 9-year-old, there's no way on God's green earth that I would ever ask one person to do that. There wasn't. There's no way I'm going to give all of that myself. There's no way. But my point to you is that community effort is essential.
Yeah.
If you give $1, if this one give $1, if that one gives $1, everyone gives $1, whatever the objective is, we could meet that collectively.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people too tend to be afraid, and I see this a lot, even on the streets when something is happening. It's like people don't want to get involved anymore because everybody looks and like, okay, they don't want something to happen to them. But if we continue to turn a blind eye,
but something is going to happen to you.
Yes, eventually down the line, something.
But it's inevitable. Like I don't understand. Like people are closed-minded and consume their immediate position and not understanding that this is inevitable. It will happen to you. Yeah. When they start to talk about the fear of crime and the index for the fear of crime, you are included in that. Mm-hmm. When you're scared to go to fish fry, you're included in this something happening to you. Mm-hmm. When you're scared to stand up and participate in national events and be able to go out, it's happening to you already.
Most definitely.
So you might as well get up and let's do something.
Yes.
Let me take the telephone call. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Really well. I tuned in after 1, so about 1:10. I was listening to your analogy about the desires and all of that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Perhaps the analogy was to make a point. I thought that was your main topic, but I wanted to say that. Both men and women have desire, and also necessary. A man is not necessarily controlled by any particular single desire. So I want to submit that a man can also do without that specific desire that you did focus on a while ago.
Praise God for that, man.
And I and I would like to agree with you that it takes a community to make it cooperating. You do more together than you do alone.
Definitely.
And so persons actually really need to get involved rather than be isolated in a bubble and behind a gate or so, thinking that it would never reach them. Because eventually, whatever evil that exists will reach even the most sophisticated or the most aloof from the reality of what's going on in society. So we
that's the truth.
Each one help to build one. It takes a village to build a community, and that is truly correct.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your telephone call. Thank you for your contribution.
And it's so true. And Howard, I just want to point this out, because just looking at the paper again in terms of Mother Pratt, I can tell you one of the things that stood out for me with Mother Pratt's story is that Mother Pratt would often speak of her husband, Joe, and she would say she is who she is because of him. Because when she had to go off to school, he took care of the children. And it afforded her the opportunity to go get her studies because she said he knew that if she got sorted, she would ensure that the children also
Praise God for
would
Joe.
be able to would benefit. So I'm saying this to say that again,
Joe
it
the
comes
Giant.
back-
We got to call him the Giant.
comes back to, again, family, common goals, common plan or vision of where you want to head to, and you're working together to build that. You're helping, carry and sharing this burden of family and making sure the children are intact, things happen so you can progress together. I saw something that also was powerful. If you go to PTA meetings, to any of the to government school systems, what you would find is predominantly it's the mother who's at the PTA meeting, or there's very little attendance to the PTA meeting. And I went to one of the top private schools PTA meeting,
Daddies
and I
was in the house.
instantly shocked.
Daddy's there.
The fathers were there.
Because daddies have to pay.
And so
I at this PTA meeting, so I have to choke this child and then send him and his mom to government school, right?
But it was so mind-boggling, though, the degree, though, in terms of the difference. If you want to give it on a percentage, this is 90% of the parents who were going to the PTA at the government school, just females.
And single.
And then here it was at this private school.
At least 70%.
It was
Married.
men or the family together, the husband and wife together. And so this plays a part in how we rear our children and how we protect them and how we provide for them to prevent them from going out there in terms of getting involved in crime and violence and all these other things.
Wow.
It speaks to that foundation. And I think that that's something that we have to, again, take a great look at in terms of fathers being present in the lives of the children.
Lines are wide open, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the family of Islands, 242-300-5720. Hit me up with the text 422-4796. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Howard.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing?
Pleasant good afternoon, sir. Howard and Garth and Kendra. This is ATL.
Hey.
Hey. So I was tuning in, listening to your show, and with regards, I'm going to touch on the base of you mentioned standards, and the standards that we once had is lost, and we have to go ahead and regain it. I remember in high school, I was a part of an awesome organization called the Key Club.
Come on now, you was a Key Club. Me too. Me too. Go ahead.
You remember that?
I was in Key Club.
Yeah, man. So when we were in Key Club, the young men would try their best to raise their standard wherever it might stem from. And you know why the majority of us did it, Howard, Gal, Kendra? Because of the Q1X. See, when like you said, when we as young men are trying to grow into manhood, we strive for particular things, whether it might be sports or academics or a trade, but we do these things because of a reward. If you understand I'm trying to
talk to me,
right?
Yeah, you. I appreciate you, but I know all of us want the reward at the end of the day.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. even if we are close, we have still bettered ourselves to get there. And when we look at the young ladies and how they carry themselves, we say, you know what, my shoes ain't too clean. Let me
My
get
God.
the shoe brush and
But you
clean
grew up,
stuff off.
you've been in the same school, eh? Because you know you had to have the
Yeah,
little sponge in the shoes.
Right? So, when we look at the males who may have mentored us, another avenue, well, we understand, you know what? I can't go around certain people looking any kind of way. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So then we look at respect and manners and standards. Garth and I had a conversation about this a few days ago. We need to raise that as a country, and I'll end with this. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of being in Nassau, and I have a 20-year-old daughter. Watch me now, Howard, and a 17-year-old daughter. And they told me they go on the fish ride. Now, you know I almost had a heart attack, right? Because I was afraid of what may have happened when two young ladies, possibly three with friends, walked the fish ride just to have a simple snow coon or little conch salad. What could have happened? What innuendos they could have received? What insults they may have received? So all of these things we're dealing with as parents in today's world.
Wow. I appreciate your telephone call, my brother. I am with you 100%. My son now, he driving, right? He driving. This boy is asleep with his license in his pocket. He get a license now. He go to bed. I said, what you need your license for in the dream? Do you need it? Do you need identification to get into dreamland? What are you doing, right? He said, Tony, I got my license now. And my mind going all over the place, how to protect a young man. And so I start to think of my 15-year-old daughter who's going to be 16. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We got to think about these things. We got to think about these things. And there has to be a wider conversation about commuting and this idea of revival in the community. There needs to be restoration and understanding of the value that we carry as human beings, as individuals. Not necessarily the value of a woman or the value of a man, but know that you are a prize. And to the guests, to the caller who called just now, know that there is always an incentive that a man is pursuing. Talk to me. That hard work that y'all used to do at the hotel to hope to God to be employee of the quarter, they used to give you a little $150, $200 extra. Talk to me. All you have to do is do your job and be diligent at your job. And you maintain and retain this consistency and resilience and commitment to your job. At the end of the year, you possibly could be employee of the year. You get $5,000, you get trip, you get this, you get that. Incentives propels you to move in a particular direction. What incentive do we have socially for young people to move out of this position and move back towards community? Talk to me about it.
Well, I'm sitting here listening. Quite a show. I'm listening to everything, and the one thing that Kendra said is so powerful is that whole idea of that responsibility of community. I am a very firm believer in local government, extremely firm. As to what reason we do not have local government in the capital island of New Providence is beyond me. Maybe it's a control issue, but definitely communities, constituencies should have the right to grow their communities and to be able, in a cultural way, bring about that parameter necessary to alleviate such behavior. Ms. Kendra is put in a position where she's working on a national front. But in terms of the community front, it's almost impossible for her to meet the need of every person that falls into this particular infraction. Understand what I'm saying to you. We have seen a law for one particular type individual and a law for another. It's duplicitous.
My God.
Okay? Let's just call it what it is. When you have checks and balances put in place, where you have a national force and then you have a local constabulary, a local authority to deal with such matters. We can have that type of situation where if something happens in your community, there is a local presence to deal with such behavior. Because why? Whoever the local authority is also understanding of that particular locale.
Yes.
Okay? When you're working from the Fox Hill or the Bahamas Correctional Center, or you're working from the National Security Headquarters, you are not privy to understanding the in-depth culture and activity of that particular society.
Yeah.
You are like a fish out of water. And this is maybe, and I have to talk in these terms, like you said, we got to be decent. This is possibly why our services to the community has been infractioned.
The service to yourself infraction. People, listen to me.
Howard, you grew up in a yard, you said.
Big yard.
Big yard. So you know everybody. Everybody knows you.
Everybody.
I can recall as a younger man, when the stranger came, you saw the stranger coming. Everybody could take note as to who the stranger was. Yes. Mister, who are you? Miss, who are you?
You ain't from around here.
You ain't from around here. Everybody knows. We saw it when you came across. Let me use one American term, the borderline. How you get in here? How you get in Bain and Grantstown? Where you coming from? What you come here for? Why you looking at my child that way? Yes. What you doing giving my child candy and popsicle? Huh? These questions can now be asked, but because we have a wider scope, you think you don't understand the blessing, Howard? This is an archipelagic nation. We have islands. Those islands are insulated by water. It's a protective measure. Each constituency should have a protective measure. So if, and I'm just using this as an example, please hear me clearly when I say an example, because y'all people is carrying news like I don't know what. Let's just say a national figure, a public figure, makes an offense. The local constabulary should be able to go ahead and prosecute that person and imprison that person if they make that offense in their constituency. But because
but you're talking about municipalities. You're talking
of course I am.
Yeah, you are.
Of course I'm. You talk about solutions, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying to you, as long as we have just one big, huge treasury and one big, huge national security and one big, huge social services, many people will fall through the cracks.
You have this issue because there's one big, huge ego that exists within political organizations. Yes. Let me take a telephone call. Caller on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. How you doing? Go ahead.
Howard, this is Sparky.
Hey, Sparky, what's up?
You know what I think the bottom line of what your guest is saying? We, the Haymans, have lost our respect. When I see on WhatsApp, to find as a defense force officer, female out in public enjoying themselves, taking off their undergarments and putting it over a gentleman's neck in public. And this is all over Facebook, all over WhatsApp. We have lost respect when we see women on Facebook and WhatsApp showing all their body parts, right up into their kidneys. You could look at that. And it looks like it's fun to them. And we laughing at it. And so forth. The police them should go and look for these people and prosecute them. We have lost the respect of telling one another, good morning, ma'am, good morning, sir, good evening, good afternoon.
Wow.
We have lost total respect in this country.
Wow. I appreciate your telephone call, Sparky. I really do. And I don't know whether or not we could prosecute immorality, right? I don't know whether. Is that an infraction? That your indecency should put you in jail? I don't know whether or not you should. That's just me.
It happens in other countries.
Yeah, but like I said, the aurora, the shimmer that actually beams up into the lights from the stars out in the north, the aurora that emulates into the night sky that we look at, that comes from the United States of America, is what we seek to emulate. We call it democracy. It has a tremendous amount of colors now, like the rainbow. We call it democracy. And as a result of calling this democracy, we want to be able to accept that because people want liberty, they want freedom, they want to make their own choices. So how can you be able to demoralize someone because they decide to wear a silk cap outside? They decide to wear just like the ban of the underwear as opposed to the actual underwear, and go outside with that? What do we?
On another show,
We can't have this and that. We can't have the yin and the yang. It only can be one or the other.
On another show, I spoke about standards, right? And I just want to say this to you. America prints its money. The Middle East pumps its money. There lies the difference. One is pseudo and one is just real as ever. If we continue to follow the people who print their money, I'm going to ask you a question. Does the Bahamas print its own money? And the reason why I say this to you is because if you go to the Middle East where they pump this money, I ain't talking about no little $1 and $1 billion. I talk about billions where people got car made out of solid gold. That type of money I'm talking about. Like they say in Coming to America, the boy got his own money. That's the type of money I'm talking about, okay? One thing that is very, very apparent in that particular region is one word: discipline. Discipline. When you want to make money, when you want organization, when you want protection, when you want security, when you want a future, it takes discipline. I love the word respect, Sparky. Love it. Your comment, Mr. Bowling and Ebron out there in Atlanta. Love it. But at the end of the day, ask yourself the question and be very honest with God. Politicians, teachers, preachers, consulars, policemen, defense force, go down the list. Do we still have the discipline, Howard Grant?
Let's ask the guest. Guest, you're on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hey, caller, you're on the line with us live. Go ahead.
All right. So what the boys and girls, what are the age for them to give consent? Boys and girls.
16.
Pardon me?
16 years old.
Boys and girls?
16 years old. 16 years old is the age of consent, despite gender. It's an age. That's the threshold. That's the mark.
Okay, because I have some grandchildren. I'm out there now. They reaching that age. I said my grandchildren. Right now I have 4 kids, but right now I don't have no kids. So my concern is right now is my grands. I need to teach them.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll hang up and listen.
I appreciate your telephone call, my brother. I thank you so very kindly. I don't know whether or not, for me, this is me. This is Howard. I'm not afraid after the years of commitment that I've made to my family and being in the house. They wake up with daddy, I carry them to school, I'm here, I show up, so forth. I'm not afraid of what they're going to do after they get 16 and 17. I'm not. I expect them to do what I taught them to do.
The right thing.
I expect that. And if they go contrary, that's where we have a problem. Because you know better. I taught you better than this. My son, 4 years old. 4 years old, my son. He likes to watch these Ryan's World, the two people they always doing foolishness. I don't like it because he gives me a little attitude afterward. He's picking up some stuff. He's 4 years old. He's a sponge. So I told him not to watch it. Came up into my room last night. He didn't hear me coming upstairs. Consumed by this thing on YouTube, right?
SpongeBob?
Right? No, he's watching whatever this Ryan's World thing is, right? And as soon as he see me, jumps up, pull the plug out. So I said, "What you watch it?" And he, my point to you is that there is a standard that's already been set.
Standards.
And the only reason that children go contrary to standards that have been set is when they take it on themselves. And then you have to introduce discipline. The Catholic priest indicated that they only need children between the age of 0 and 7 years old. After 7 years old, that is imprinted in your mind for the rest of your life. We need to be able to give the morals and value, the tradition, the foundation into these kids between the age of 0 and 7 years old. The reason why their lights flicker and they lose hope at 11 and 10 years old is because the imprint and indentation of darkness that they've been taught between the ages of 0 and 7 years old. No one's going to have a conversation like this, but some people just shouldn't have their own children. We got to take them.
And you...
Because you are going to create monsters. Not in a bad way. We got to be honest.
You are seriously speaking from your perspective. And we're watching the widening divide presently, Kendra, of people that are totally against what you're now saying.
That's okay.
You are now becoming the minority.
But that's
you
fine.
are now becoming the mosquito in the room, and they want to slap you, clap you,
and guess what?
And make you extinct.
Because of the darkness that exists in this room, when you try to slap me, you hit yourself because you can't even see me. But you know that the conviction is, the buzzing exists because you know that you need to make a change. You left the window open. Let's be very clear about this. This is a proverbial. We can take it like this. Let me take a telephone call before I go to a break. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead.
And good afternoon, Howard, and your guest.
Good afternoon, my brother. What's happening?
You know, the Bible said, David said, son, give me thine heart and let thine eyes observe my ways. A couple years ago, when I was in Foxhill, I used to drive the bus for Baptist Bible Church. Go out on Saturdays, Sunday morning, we go to pick them up and gather in a lot of the children until the bus come back around. And this lady was carrying on. She was cussing and everything. And I had a bunch of little children, and I said, Miss, you don't got to carry on. Look at what these little children are. You know what she tell me? You think I bad? You should see my daughter. She worse than me. That's what she told me. So children observe what you do. They mock you. They mimic you. You could tell them, don't do this, but you're doing the opposite. The children are confused.
Yeah.
So another thing, Howard, when the gentleman came on, I wanted to say something to you, the power of the gospel. 1980, on the 30th of 825, down in Bimini, that's where I came to trust Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. Wasn't born a saint, was born a sinner. I wouldn't have to go to no more. But I didn't touch another woman until 6 years later when I met my wife and we got married.
My God.
Good man.
And she kept me, Howard. So don't tell me that God cannot keep a man, man or woman, from living in fornication after that. I'm not talking about a lost man. I'm talking about a Christian now.
Okay, now talk to me.
If you trust Jesus Christ as your Savior, greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. Yes. And He gave me victory because I meant His word. He said, flee fornication, flee youthful lust. I said, Lord, I want to commit myself until I meet my wife. 6 years. And on the 22nd November 1986, after I got married, that's when I had the next sexual encounter. Because God kept me. He sustained me because I surrendered my heart and my life to Him. So parents have to live their life before their children. I'm not saying I'm perfect. You can ask my children. Not saying I'm perfect. But if we confess our sins as a Christian, He is faithful and just to forgive us and to cleanse us. But never went back to drinking, smoking, boiling cocaine and smoking. Never did that again. Never went to another nightclub. God is able to keep a Christian. And I want people to hear me. God is able to do it if you surrender your life to Him. Thank you.
I appreciate the telephone call, my brother. Thank you so very kindly. I want to take a commercial break. My brother, I could imagine your wall. You got everything. Day 1, day 2, day 3, Scorch 5, day 2, day 3. You was in prison 6 years. My God, the cold showers you take. Give God praise that you made it. Praise God for November. I hope you heard your wife. Praise God, my brother. We had a beautiful time. Listen, I am always appreciative for conversations like this. I am. I'm always appreciative for this kind of a transparency and opportunity and vulnerability in these matters. But I got to take this commercial break, guys. Let me take this quick break and be right back after this.
Foundation. Foundation.
The Grand Bahama News is available every Tuesday in the Nassau Guardian. Buy your local paper at Freeport convenience stores, Western Bakery, DeGregory's Fine Foods, and Bellevue Gifts. Want to reach your Grand Bahama customers? Then call Barefoot Marketing at 827-4578 or message them for ad rates via their Facebook page. Advertising opportunities now include classified ads too. Keep up with all the latest Grand Bahama news in the Nassau Guardian newspaper every Tuesday.
Okay, school bag, books, pencils, uniform. Oh, Lord. And I gotta buy snacks too?
Just lay it on the line.
The Guardian Media Group and AML Foods want to help families in need with our first ever Back to School Snackathon. What's a snackathon? Well, we want to help by assisting in donating school snacks to children that may need them as they head back to school this year. To be a part of our Snackathon, all you have to do is shop at your favorite Solomon Superstore or Fresh Market. At the store, you can donate your pre-existing loyalty points, or you can donate cash directly at the register. Every single penny will go towards purchasing snacks that will be donated for distribution by the Bahamas Feeding Network and Hands for Hunger. Together, we can ensure that every child that opens their backpack this year will have a snack and a smile.
Get involved, get involved. Get involved, get involved.
Attention all beauty enthusiasts. Perfect Tone, your go-to destination for restorative skincare, is on the move. Famous for flawless results within 30 days, Perfect Tone is relocating to the shops of Southwest Carmichael Road. Now is the time to get the skin you've always dreamed of, removing dark spots, acne, and oily textured skin for good. For more information and updates, follow us on social media or visit our website at ptskincare.com.
You've tried everything. ASUS, with your mother's cousin's sister's auntie, and even hiding your money under your mattress. But is your money safe? Your Bahamian dollar deposit in a member bank or credit union is insured up to $50,000. If anything happens, your deposit up to the insured value will be returned to you thanks to Deposit Insurance. Visit Deposit Insurance Corporation at www.dic.bf.
Protection for your money, guaranteed with DIC.
At Ron's Electric Motors, they repair and rewind all major brands of electric motors, including water pumps, generators, and the generator's back end, welding machines, electric lifts, air compressors, battery chargers, and more. They're equipped to handle up to 850 kilowatts and rewind up to 450 horsepower motors. They're conveniently located on the corner of Wolf and Clarence Roads and are open weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays till noon. They offer 24 hours emergency assistance. You can reach them at 242-356-0249.
Grab your camera, capture the spirit of the Bahamas, and win cash and prizes. Scotiabank, in partnership with the Guardian Media Group, invites all youth, amateur, and professional photographers to enter the Celebrate Bahamas 50 photography competition, being held under the theme One Nation, One Legacy, Our Future. With more than $8,000 in cash to be won, snap those photos and send them in by August 30th. Visit GuardianTalkRadio.com or bs.scotiabank.com to find out how to enter. Let's celebrate our proud nation in photos. Terms and conditions apply.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio, Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation, here in studio today, Wednesday, this panel discussion. We have kind of been hitting at it from Friday of last week, this significant increase of rape and, this increase of sexual appetite in our society, really being able to thrust upon the vulnerable young and not so young. So we got to talk about that. We got to talk about these particular things. Kendra's in the studio with me, Kendra Bowe and Garth Roseborough, if you're just tuning in. Kendra, you wanted to talk to us about 3 myths.
Yes.
As it relates to rape. Give me some of those myths.
Rape. I was fortunate to do Train the Trainer for sexual and gender-based violence here. And the information that we learned through that was really, really good information. And so when it comes to the myths, I think one of the big things for people to learn with sexual violence being on an increase is the fact that rape is not about the sex. It's about the power and the control over another person. So that's a myth?
Person. The myth is rape is not about sex.
The myth is that rape is about sex.
Okay.
Right? So people are thinking, okay, this person isn't getting sex, when in fact, I think there's statistics, it's like 3 out of 5 sexual offenders are in a relationship with someone where they are getting sex. So it's not about sex. It's about control and power over another person. And what you would find is and it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, in terms of some of these things being years in the making. If you go back into the history of these individuals, you would find that they themselves had some kind of abuse or trauma that they themselves experienced. And so it became a cycle in terms of that happens.
So first one, rape is
not about
sex.
It's not about
the
sex.
myth is that rape is about sex. It's
right.
not.
It's not.
It's about indentured servitude.
Yeah.
I put politics.
Yes,
in.
yes.
Let's just go. Okay, go next one. Next one. Let's go.
The other one is that people think that they can look at a person and tell if they're a rapist or not. So you think someone has a look that says, "Oh, this person is a rapist," or they're unsafe. And the reality of it is that that's also a myth. You can't look at a person and think that you could determine. We did a sexual gender-based violence class at the Bahamas Department of Corrections with 25 sexual and violent offenders. And out those 25, if I were to say, who did I look at and I felt uneasy or felt, they looked like a criminal, I'd say maybe 5 of the 25 guys I could look at and say, they looked a little...
Because they ain't had no haircut.
They ain't had no haircut.
Yeah, that's
right.
it. They look scrubby.
The 5, because the rest
they
of
just
them
look scrubby today.
Yes.
But they can clean up nicely.
Yes, we're well groomed. So this was a session with sexual and violent offenders, and looking at them, you couldn't tell. Oh, this one was a rapist. This one did this. This one dealt with a child. And so it's people recognizing it's not a look that you're looking for. Sometimes think you can. Now, sometimes you could get an eerie feeling or an intuition about someone. And so those are those things that someone you can pick up in terms of sometimes like that. But it isn't a look that you are looking for, because you can have someone who can be married and be a rapist. They can have their children and you could know their children and all of this, and they can be a rapist. So it's knowing, again, that it isn't a look in terms of that you're looking at, in terms in that way. And then the other one is people think that it has to be a stranger, someone who you don't know, when in fact, in most instances, rape occurs with someone who you do know. Whether it's someone that may be known in the community, someone a part of the family, or something of that nature.
What was the third one? Is someone you know?
It's someone you know. It's an acquaintance. It's someone that you know. It's someone who is a part of the family in most instances. So there can be the stranger, yes, that happens, but in most instances it's actually someone that you know. And so it's people just being aware of those things so that they don't think that, because this person... is a member of the family, they're okay. You need to be watching for little clues and signs that where you're looking to see how someone is watching your child or how they're watching you, or, just things like that you need to be mindful of. So I wanted to put that out.
Netflix had a series on that I watched, my wife and I, in absolute awe and amazement, sometime back. Last year, I think it was last year. It's called Netflix Our Father. Did you watch it? Our Father. Okay. It tells a true story about a fertility doctor who used his own semen.
There was something similar to that. That may have been it. I don't know.
And used it in 1970s and 80s and specialized in Indiana. It was Dr. Donald Klein. And estimated dozens of patients he used his very own semen. If you watch this, this was rape.
That may have been it.
These women went to him now he didn't thrust himself upon them.
Right.
But I'm saying to you, this sort of intrusion, this idea of being able to go contrary, to be able to perpetuate his own desires, goes right back to this about control and power.
I'm afraid today, Howard. This discussion has made me very afraid. I love the expertise of Kendra Bow. Very proficient, very on time. I love it. I like your reflection, Howard, but I'm very afraid. I am afraid because of how horrendous an act this is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you tie the nightmare of this very discussion with marital rape, the overspill. It becomes extremely volatile in every sense of the word, in my understanding. I see it as, at this particular time, every man has to now be on his guard, only because the discussion has been, in my estimation, anti-male. Because women do rape men, but we don't respect that. We don't honor that in our society. So definitely, this is anti-male. For those men who fool with little children, I am all for the death penalty, I'm all for discipline and doing what has to be done to make corrective measure. But now we have overspilled this act is just despicable. Now into the home of, I listened to her just now, those 3 points. Listen to what she just said. That can also describe a husband. You look at the list.
He wants power.
Power and control, yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Rapist has a particular appearance. He doesn't have a particular appearance. He looked like your husband.
His husband.
Right? And a rapist is a foreigner or
it's a myth. It's a myth.
But he's a stranger. It's a myth.
It could be somebody.
You know him.
The husband fits that profile too. That is terrifying. I'll tell you how terrifying that is for me. I'm only talking for me. People say, "Oh God, you're so strong." Let me tell you why he's strong. You love the woman you got, but now to say I do, my friend, it's scary.
See, for me, for Howard, let me take the telephone call because I can talk long on this. I don't want to be decent about this.
Just clear it up for me. Just clear it up for me because I'm scared.
Call on the line. Go ahead, caller.
Is that me?
Yeah, go ahead. That's you. Turn on your radio. Turn on your radio. You echoing.
Golly, they talking away along with you on your panel, Howard.
Yes, sir.
Howard, I was listening to you all from your voice today, right?
I thank you.
Good lady and everybody, and everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing, first I'm going to say this. The whole world strives on reason and intent. A lot of people don't know that or don't understand that. Mm-hmm. But you know what the problem is with every situation? Most people do not teach pride, how to have pride. A lot of people do not know pride. They doesn't have any pride because they weren't taught it. Okay? If anything you does that is immature, and you look back at it yourself, you'll say, if you have any good sense, I wish I hadn't done that or I shouldn't have done that. You know the reason why? They look back because pride set in.
My God.
They weren't taught pride, and that's what most people are lacking today, and that's what you're all missing in your conversation.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your telephone call, your contribution. Let me read a couple of these texts. So it says, good afternoon. Just thinking out the box. Right now, we spend buku dollars, a tremendous amount of money, keeping folks in prison. It does appear that young single mothers are struggling with their circumstances. What about paying, watch this, what about paying women between the ages of 16 and 20 a stipend for not having babies whilst being single? That gives them time to at least reach junior level in university or vocational diploma, and by then perhaps have more capacity to handle the weight of rearing children as a single mother. This is heavy stuff, right? For me, it speaks to the fact that your belief is that everybody can get married. Mm-hmm. And that's not so.
And make children.
And everybody can have children. Mm-hmm. And that's not so. So what you're doing for a young woman...
It's a good thought.
It's a thought. It's the same thought I throw out there as it relates to rectifying this issue. Do we put all the men have to go on dry dock? Is that what we do? It's just a thought. Because my wife can't go. I married. I walk in the house and I say, "Daddy's home. Daddy's home." Right?
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy's home, baby. Right? So
and the children can watch whatever they want to watch.
I know I can send them there. I can send them far off, right?
They can watch TV because they're busy. Go ahead. I listen. Because you think that you're
but just an idea. That's only an idea that we throw out there to be able to rectify this issue. This is an increasing issue that we have in society. So all suggestions, this is an open box of suggestions that we're taking in. But we have to be able to do some of these and understand that it's just not practical.
Can I ask Andrew a question?
Go ahead.
How many women are in prison for rape? Out of the rape population, how much percentage you would say?
I can't say. I can't say.
How many
I don't know
women
for
have
sure.
you met?
So I deal primarily with
male.
males. Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't
I
know.
do primarily. So I don't go
Because
to
you
the
know,
female side. I do
honestly,
primarily
you know, in
males.
the Bahamas, when a woman hold a fella down, all the people say how it feel.
No, but see, that is
see the young boy's been psychologically affected.
No,
society is the psychologically affected one, because if you hypothetically take this to an authority figure as a male,
Yeah.
simply let's say hypothetically the teacher rapes you, and you say, oh, as a 15-year-old Miss Jones, Miss Roll or whatever, abducted me, and then everybody look at you, what? Oh my God, that's crazy! High fives. Right?
Yeah.
That's a societal conditioning for us to believe that.
That happened
But if
in Andros the
Mr.
other day, you know.
Jones,
Remember in Andros? That
right?
happened the other day in Andros.
Yeah, but if Mr. Jones does that to a young girl, oh my God, this demon.
Oh, yeah.
So there is
Stretch 'em out.
indecency in our society and imbalance there. Let me see if I can read a few more of these. This is Howard. Government cannot legislate morality, but Sparky is right. We have lost respect in this country. I agree with you, right? So it says, in my opinion, the main reason for rape is because the country, we do not respect women. Just look at the national conversation over the past 2 years. We need to stop giving predators excuses and asking women that they think should be done, what they think should be done. It is not up to women to stop violence against them. We must ask those predators to do better and be better. There's a text that's coming through, right? Let me see if I can read a couple more of these texts. Good afternoon, Howard. Who's your guest and co-host in studio? That is Kendra Bow and Garth Roseborough. Let me see if I can read it. Jude 24, King James Version. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling and to present you faultless before the presence of the glory with exceeding joy. This is a text that's coming through. Kendra, you also wanted to be able to give a scripture for healing for those persons who would have been going through some tribulation as it relates to rape or immorality being thrust upon them. Talk to me about it.
Yes. So what I'd just like to say in terms of just before giving that scripture, because I know time is going, is everyone is called to a particular thing. For me, I'm passionate about rehabilitation. So I'm passionate about working with those who are in need of a second chance and then equipping persons with the training and skills also in helping those who are in that area as well. So for me, where I'm concerned, because see, once the damage is done, you're looking at not just the person who is the victim, whether it's a 9-year-old or 80-something-year-old, because I saw the paper last week and there was an 80-something-year-old.
Yes.
So from whatever age bracket, you're not just looking at that particular individual and what they're going through, but the families that are also tied to that individual. And then you're also looking at the person who is the perpetrator and the families that are connected to that individual. Because again, and see, when I say this, I'm not saying this from a perspective in terms of bashing the male, because I am about uplifting the male, and I feel that our societies need males functioning and operating in their rightful places for our society to move forward and progress. But what is needed is that I feel like we really downplay the trauma, the abuse, the neglect, the rejection that takes place in the childhood years. You spoke, Howard, about 0 to 7, and once you can formulate, impact a child in that 0 to 7 years, it's like you program them for life. But now that 7 up to 16, let's just say as it were, 7 up to 16, because if you look at most of the crime is taking between 16 to 35, I think the age bracket is somewhere up in there in terms of the perpetrators of crime and violence. And so when you look at that age bracket in that period, it's all the trauma that took place in all those formative years that was never dealt with.
Now being displayed.
Yes, now
pouring
being displayed.
Out.
And it's
Coming
pouring
out.
And so when we see now the older man or the older young boy or whomever who has now committed some violent crime or whatever have you, like I've been around these same young men. I call them my sons.
That's crazy.
I've dropped them home, dealing with the church programs that's dealing with them, and you get to know them and you laugh up with them and everything, and it's like, everything has two sides. Right? There's a good and bad to everyone. But if the pendulum switches to that left side and it continues to swing in that direction and we don't do anything to help it to swing back to bring that balance, then we're going to continuously have what we're having in society.
Yeah.
And so I think that we have to do a greater work, a greater job of protecting our children, of really reinforcing family values and people understanding their responsibilities when you become a parent, and also doing our part in terms of community.
Thank you, my dear.
So that there's just...
It's 2 o'clock. I don't want nobody to kill me for this. I thank you so very kindly for that, and I thank you for your contribution, man. You've really been able to kind of light a spark, a fire under a bushel, and really being able to lend this social conversation and get our minds going as to what we need to do going forward. Guys, I thank you so very kindly, Garth, my brother. I thank you so very kindly for your contribution today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation and being able to pour into these particular things. I see some texts I didn't get to, a few phone calls. Thank you for everything that you've done. Small Business Thursday tomorrow, right here, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation. Guys, we will see you tomorrow, God's Spirit. Have a beautiful day, guys. Thank you so much.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.